RK and this W1QS, they had the unmitigated gall to sit there after they had worked these two stations, the VK6 and the ZL. They had the unmitigated gall to sit there and yaddy, chatty with each other, knowing full well that the sun was rising here on the East Coast, and there might be other stations that might want to work Western Australia on 75. I mean, I've been in radio 50 years. How many times have I even talked to Australia on 75? I mean, once, twice? I think maybe once, long time ago. And here they are, sitting there on top of these DX stations after they ate they're like a bunch of fucking wolves. They sit there after they've had after they're glutted and sated, they sit there, that N2RK and that W1QS, they sit there and chitty-chatty to each other, and they don't let the DX station call CQ, they don't help anybody work the DX, they're just very selfish people. And that wasn't the amateur radio I was introduced to in 1959, I'm sorry. This is sort of what we call corporate radio, winner takes all, and that's what I'm against. You say I'm a radio terrorist. I'm not a radio terrorist. I'm trying to bring some civility back to amateur radio. K1LEM Gary. Well, it must be that you're one of the worst ones there, because by comparison, you haven't got any idea what I'm talking about. You have absolutely no perception of it, so we can't talk. But I think anybody that was up on 75 this morning that wanted to work those stations, and those two Foursquare guys, QS, he's a retired executive from the Silicon Valley. He's got a girlfriend up in Maine. They live on a horse ranch, and that's all he does. He's a playboy. And then the other one there, and then you bring Freddie Collins in, the guy that lives in the $10 million mansion on W1FC, and they gang up together in a group, and nobody can use that DX window when those three people are in there. And then the other one is the old Nazi, K1Y. He sits there in his New Hampshire villa and works, he runs a full 1,500 watts, just completely dominates the DX window, talking to stations in Europe that nobody else can hear. That old Nazi, K1Y. Now, I don't know why other people don't see us the way I do. Maybe I'm nuts. You think maybe I'm crazy? K1LEM Gary. Maybe I'm nuts.
I want you to know that he is taking check-ins and so forth, trying to establish the net. He's not really hearing you.
Not all about me.
So if for the time being,
I want to have fun with my radio, but then so do you, right? You want to have fun with your radio in what way you want, and as long as it's legal.
I'm sure the band's gonna.
There are guys on 75 at night. I don't cause them any trouble. They're just up there having fun with their radios. As long as I don't cause them any trouble, and even these Bible nets, I don't cause them any trouble. So why am I cause so much trouble here on 185? I am perfectly legal to operate here and talk to Tom and the people I want to talk to. So I think you're the one that's all wet. If you won't, if you'll excuse me, I think maybe you should read 97 and see what it's about. Now, what I said to you this morning about the DXers is they weren't doing anything illegal. They were just being assholes. They weren't doing anything illegal up there by sitting and rag chewing with each other. One was in New York, the other's in Maine, and they've got right on the frequency a superstation in Western Australia and another one, and they're sitting there chitty-chatty while the sun rises and those DX stations are going to fade out for everybody on the East Coast. If that's not selfishness, I guess I don't know what selfishness is. K1LEM Gary. You should have been up there and listened to it, and then you see what selfishness is all about. And believe me, I am not a selfish man. I'm not at all. I'm a socialist. No, I'm not everything nice. I know I have warts, but in the time I've been on Earth, I've tried to get some of the warts taken off. In fact, I'd probably die with warts on me, but I may have less warts. In fact, I know I got less warts than you do. because you don't even understand what I'm saying. So obviously you can't be an old-time radio operator because you don't see it. This is corporate radio we're talking about, corporate radio, where nobody can use a frequency but Horace, these old diaper-toting old men, and they own this frequency every 2 hours if on Sunday morning, and then the Nazis come in and then they own it. I mean, is that amateur radio as it used to be practiced? I don't think so. I don't think so. I certainly hope not. K1LEM. I don't know if everybody else is a retard or not. The point is, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous, because if you come in and you're in the morning, I talked to John, I talked to Captain Tom up there, who was the old, Tom is sort of funny. I think he can blow up, he can be fun. Actually, he's walked out on me I don't know how many times, and I think that I'm Tom's therapist, and we're still good friends. Yeah, we fought like dogs. I've talked to Tom for years, and I really know that man. I know him in and out. I can predict what he's going to do. But here in the morning, yeah, it's a little bit different. We're talking Howdy Doody Net. Somebody wants to come in and say something positive and join in, that's fine. It's just like the Bible Net, you know, these Bible Nets. What if I leaped right into a Bible Net and I said, hey, I'm an atheist, and hey, you guys are all satanic dirtwood. How would that go over, right? And you guys are so egocentric. All you do is sit here and talk about Jesus and the second coming and everything else. I don't do that kind of stuff. Now, if you really understood what K1LEM is about, you wouldn't say that. If you really would see maybe the forest through the trees. I've been licensed since 1960, at least with a general license since 1960. I can't say 59 because I only had a novice license. I was only a 12-year-old kid. But I've been licensed since 1960, and I've seen amateur radio go right downhill. So if people want to have fun with their hobby, good, and that includes the old diaper-wearing old Horace in a wheelchair. If he wants to come on and talk on his old Mrs. Net, I don't have any right to interfere with those guys. I don't have any right to come in there and be rude unless they've been rude to me. I figure that if they're rude to me, I can be rude back. They're the ones that were rude first, not me. I say something and they could respond to it, but they don't. They come back and they're very rude, and I think partly because they're old men and they're getting into their dementia years. So I don't know. I mean, what makes this frequency available to this old ladies' net every morning for 2 solid hours? Do you see that anywhere in the FCC rules that they can broadcast up here for 2 hours and it's their frequency, and they can shoo everybody else off it so they can operate the old Mrs. Net and talk about absolutely nothing? If you can, please show me in the rules. I want to read it. K1LEM.
Go ahead and see what else you can work, my brother.
And I don't think you can show me in the rules because it's not in there.
K1UB. I was talking to you. You were talking, and Wilbur is talking.
You see, he's in there right now, very weakly. The old diaper-wearing guy is in there. Just, he's. You got to apologize for him. He's probably close to 90 years old. He doesn't even know halfway around the house anymore. And they're yakking about net control, not realizing that the frequency was occupied before they started. And that's what I'm talking about, sir. That's what I'm talking about. This old man, and I mean, that's where amateur radio has become. This idea of entitlement, this idea of corporate radio, these guys with 4 squares pretending they're the DX wizards of the DX window, not letting anybody else in. As I say this morning, those guys were sitting on 2 prizes. They were sitting on that guy in New Zealand and the guy in Western Australia on 75. They must have been running some super antenna. They must have been running a 4-element beam at 150 feet, because these guys were really, really strong. So QZ and his old buddy there are too. You know, they're like coyotes. They come in there, they work the DX, they get their 5-9 reports, and then they sat there right on that frequency, not allowing anybody else to call them, and they began talking to each other. One was in Western New York, and the other's in Maine. And then when I come in and I make a comment that that's not being very courteous, they call me mentally ill. So what can I say? I guess if I'm mentally ill, all the rest of you are, wow, I don't know. K1LEM Gary Davis. Well, that's what they do. Accurate depictions in what way? That I'm mentally ill? All right, well, you're entitled to your opinion. You're certainly entitled to your opinion, but usually mentally ill people see things that aren't there and they can't follow logic and stuff like that. So if you ask them, why the hell did you do that? A mentally ill person will give you a phony reason, and a rational person won't be able to follow their logic. But if I do something, you say, well, you're mentally ill, K1LEM. Well, I could be that maybe I am, but at least if I say something or I do something, I can give you a list of logical reasons why I did it. Now, you may disagree with my reasons. That's right, because that's what we call politics. You might disagree with my reasons, but I can give you reasons for everything I do. And I don't see people criticizing K1LEM to have any real criticism to give back at all, other than insults and stuff like what you're doing. So if you have any real substance to your arguments about the way I operate my station, I'd like to hear it, K1LEM. Well, if you don't want to discuss anything with the mentally ill, I have other mentally ill people that talk to me in the morning, and I appreciate it if you stay off the frequency when we're having our therapy session. Thank you. Oh, here comes Horace with his diaper. Here comes Horace in his diapers. Horace, do you wear a diaper? Because you sound like you do. If any one of these participants is under 90 years old, I'll pay him $10. They can prove to me they're under 90 years old, because either that or they have dementia. Did you realize, OMIC, that you're interfering with stations that are already here? Well, you know that I'm here too, don't you? You know that I'm here too. And you started up. You come right over the top of a contact where I'm on the frequency. Where in the FCC rules does it say that your old Mrs. Net has priority over somebody that's already talking here? I think you need to be educated and you need to grow up. Well, I'm just going to tell you what I think of you now, because you're up loud enough to cause me interference. First of all, you're causing me interference. I'm not causing you interference. You sound like a bunch of demented old men that belong in nursing homes, with all of your ulcerations and all of your wheelchairs and your diapers and your prayers and all this other stuff. I wish you'd take it to 75 meters. You say you have a 20-meter net. Why in God's name don't you take it to 20 meters and stay off this frequency? Well, they don't frustrate me. The point is that I have, now first of all, you're not very smart. You don't see that I have a very narrow perspective on how I use my radio. I don't DX anymore because I've done that. There's very few things I do with my radio. Now, I could give up amateur radio. You could say, well, Whit, why don't you give up radio? Okay, that would be something. But I think I'm the one that has to decide if I'm going to sell my radio equipment. I'm doing nothing illegal here. This net of old men that have diapers is on here. This old Mrs. Net, it's on here every Sunday, and the people on it are drippy. They're so drippy, I hear them, and if I were a psychologist, I'd say, let's take you guys to the nursing home while you're still alive, and get off the radio. That's what I'd say. And I may not be kind, but I think that that's exactly what these people are. Now, there are responsible people that run nets that will, if somebody else is on a frequency, they will move their net upwards or downwards, but not not these people. They're here every Sunday, and they think they own 185 for 2 solid hours on Sunday. You tell me that I'm wrong. I've listened to these old men, and I know what they're up to. They've been at this for at least, well, I've been listening to them for at least half a year. I'm not interfering with them. They're interfering with me. Listen to him. He says, Gary, you're here every Sunday. Well, yeah, I am here every Sunday. Why not? I don't want to talk to you, and I'm not interfering with you. You're interfering with me. If you wanted me to give you the frequency, why don't you be decent and ask me for it? But no, you've got to go on and complain and cry and take on. And old Horace comes up out of his wheelchair and almost has a heart attack. Well, I'm sorry about that. K1LEM Gary.
To the situation, over.
The old Horace in Pennsylvania almost has a heart attack. Well, look, you know what my mom used to say? What a gift God would give us to see ourselves as others see us. What a gift should God give us to see ourselves as others see us. You know what? As it turns out, these old men that are on this old Mrs. Net, they're just very, very egocentric. They're very, very much like what I told you, this W1QS and his buddy sitting on these two super stations in the South Pacific and having the unmitigated gall, knowing that the sun was rising, knowing that the 75-meter band was going out, talking to each other between Maine and central New York, and then thinking they're not doing anything wrong. I mean, it's just like a bunch of coyotes that devour a carcass and then sit on it. You know? And that's not selfish. Oh, hell no, that's not selfish. Well, anyway, Horace, God love you. I hope God changes you very soon because you really need a change in your life, that's for sure. K1LEM Mike, I'm gone.
Thank God. VYR, we hear you. Oh, man. Hold it up, gentlemen. Hold it up. Additional check-ins for the net. Come now.
Well, every week, Horace, it's the same thing with you. Every Sunday, it's the same old thing with you. So you better look yourself in the mirror, huh?
Give me your suffix, please.
Yeah, this is well, you're a net member. You're not an unbiased party here. You're a member of this old men's and you know it. And I'm not intentionally interfering with them. And they don't have any legal right to this frequency any more than I do. So maybe we should wise up and realize that and keep your big fat mouth shut. Because the more contentious you become, old man, the more contentious I'll become. If you could be civil, maybe I would stop talking. Did that ever occur to you? K1LEM Mike, just be polite and I'll go away. But you can't be that, can you? You've got to be contentious.
5BXE. Richard, good morning.
No, I don't complain. I'm saying that they think in the morning they own this frequency and they don't own it. No, how many times do I have to explain things? I've been in radio for 50, what is it?
Appreciate you checking in with us.
However long ago that was. And I have a very narrow perspective of things I do in radio. Very, very narrow. Because I've done it all. I've done slow scan TV. I've done television. I've done everything. So what do I do now? I have maybe an hour in the morning that I talk to 3 or 4 people on this frequency, and that's it. I got to say, and if that's a boring way to operate my radio, okay. But there are people that have nets, like these old men on this frequency right now, that are all wearing diapers and they're all drippy and got bad breath, and some of them are even in wheelchairs. Isn't that the way they're enjoying their hobby? And I have no right to interfere with the way that they're enjoying their hobby, but they don't have any more right to this frequency than I do. And you show me legally in a court of law that they do, because they don't. And they're as much interfering with me this morning as they claim, and I say they claim that I'm interfering with them. K1LEM Gary.
What is the temperature? 72 degrees?
Yeah, Yeah. Right. Well, you see, if you had a real argument to give me backwards, I'd listen to it, but you don't. All you have is yeah. Well, you're like a little spoiled baby about 2 years old with an IQ of 20. If you had something to tell me that was interesting, maybe I'd listen to it. Anyway, Horace, in your diaper, I hope to hell that God takes you soon, because God should have taken you about 10 years ago by the sound of you. You just sound like you're really out of it. So I hope you can find something to do, old man. K1LEM Mike. And by the way, be civil. You know, when God takes you, if there is a heaven, you'll get a better place if you're civil and kind and that kind of thing. So remember that, Horace. All right. K1LEM Mike.
Leroy. Next up, WB5 VYR out there.
Oh, I'm as civil as they get. I'm just fair. I don't know whether I'm civil or not, but I'll tell you one thing about K1LEM. I am ultimately fair. I am very fair in the way I operate my radio. No, I don't. I talk to people in the morning. You're not here in the morning. If I hated everybody, I wouldn't talk to Tom and John and those people. But you see, these old men, they just don't get it. They're on here, and they're talking over the top of me. I was here first. The band was out this morning. I guess it was long. And in comes old Horace with his old drippy diaper, same old guy claiming I'm interfering with him. Well, I mean, it's a two-way street, old man. I mean, you're interfering with me. I was here. What is it that makes you think you own this frequency in the morning, every Sunday morning for 2 solid hours? That's what I don't understand. If somebody could explain that to me, I'd be happy. K1LEM Mike. I don't understand it. They call me nuts. They call me OCD. They call me violating the FCC rules and everything else. And yet, the only thing that I can tell you, my man, and I know you understand this because you're an old timer too. Look, my mom used to say, "What a gift should God ever give us to see ourselves as others see us," and they don't see it. And this morning, let me tell you what's going on this morning. Those DXs are right up there sitting on 2 super stations talking to each other. One was in central New York, this N1 radio, whatever it's called, and that despicable W1QS. They were sitting there talking to each other after they had worked the VK6 and they worked the ZL. And by the way, these were strong stations, Tom. A station in Western Australia, to me, on my little vertical, on 75 this morning, was speaking a 5 and 9 from Western Australia. So QS, that idiot up in Maine, he comes in with his Foursquare. He works the station. That idiot in central New York works the station. And then they commence to rag chew with each other right on top of the frequency that these two, VK6 and ZL were on. And then when I come in and I say, why are you guys talking to each other? Why don't you let other people come down and work the VK6 and work the ZL? Oh, well then that's that Gary guy. He's really crazy. He's nuts. I said, well, maybe I'm nuts, but I'll tell you something about you. You're corporate. You're what I would call corporate amateur radio. Corporate amateur radio. Amateur radio by permission. Anybody that has a station as good as yours can work the DX. Beyond that, forget it. You sit right there and you rag chew with each other. One's in central New York, the other's up in Maine. And Tom, they don't get it. They don't get it. They really don't. So you tell me what's going on. KB2OUA, K1LEM.
No, he's talking to anyone who will listen.
That's right, and to tell you the truth, I was on the frequency before these drippy old men came in here with this old Mrs. Net. Well, if you want to operate your old Mrs. Net on here with Tom and myself, you go right ahead. But don't say that we're interfering with you because you old drip. You're interfering with us. It's a two-way street. It's a two-way street. These old drips, Tom, they want to say that I am interfering with them. Somebody just came on the frequency and said I was broadcasting. How could that be when I'm talking to KB2OUA? They don't even know halfway around. And this is what I would say about people in amateur radio. First of all, I told them, quite frankly, I have a very narrow view of radio. I only use it in a very limited kind of way. And I use it in the morning, and I talk to you, and there's a few people I talk to, and Harry, and that kind of thing. They won't even let me talk to Harry. Now, I can always talk to you, Tom, because you're a superstation. You always get over them. I can't always talk to Harry because they come in, they can't call, they take on. And these old men, these drippy old men with a diaper that talk about their ulcerated colitis and every other damn thing, and prayers to God and Jesus, they come in here right on top of me in the morning. There is nothing that says that this old Mrs. Net owns 185 every Sunday morning. Why is it so difficult for you people to understand that? What is so difficult about that? But Tom, you see, they don't get it. Any more than those DXers in the DX window saw the selfishness that they were projecting this morning in the DX window. Tom, they don't get it. Everything's corporate today. Everything is corporate. Everything is by consensus. The good old times where I talk to you, you talk to me, I talk to you, you talk to me. Hey, man, that's all over. The only way you can talk to anybody anymore is in a net. The only way you can talk to DX anymore is if you ask the permission of the big guns. Ask the permission of the big guns, and then you can talk to DX. Besides that, forget it. So I think that that's the corporate, that's the making amateur radio very narrow, and it's like a corporate kind of situation. The only kind of conversations you can have are in the context of a net. The only DX you can work is with the permission of the DX big guns. Beyond that, forget it. Amateur radio's dead. No wonder they got so much problems. K1LEM. Well, maybe you better listen, Grandpa. Maybe you better listen more carefully. Tom, I'm going to let these old, drippy old men have the frequency because I'm going to show you how courteous you and I can be. Let's let old Horace and this drippy old men's net continue here, and I'm going to get off. We'll just let them have the frequency. But I'm trying to tell them they don't have any more right to 185 in the morning on Sunday morning or any other time than you and I do. They don't seem to get it. The only kind of amateur radio you can practice today, apparently, is in a net. You can call into a net. If you want to work DX, you have to ask the permission of the big guns. Ask the permission of the big guns, you can work DX. Like the VK6 and the ZL this morning, oh hell no. Those big guns were going to sit right on top of it, and they had eaten their share. They talked to the stations, the VK6 APS and the other. But no, after they get done talking to the DX, guess what they do? The station in New York starts talking to the station in Maine, right on the same frequency as the VK6 and the ZL. So what would you say about that? The sun's coming up. Aren't the conditions changing? So people on the East Coast aren't going to be able to hear the Australian station for very much longer? Do you think they care about that, Tom? They don't care an iota about that. Yeah, it's all by the corporate rule, and that's what I'm trying to fight against. That's what I'm fighting against. Anyway, KB2OUA. Catch you later, my friend. K1LEM. Ain't no pill for stupid. You got it. Turn up your hearing aid.
Call sign is Kilo 1 Lima Echo Mexico.